Let's see if it works now. How's everyone doing today? Good? Yeah, I'm alright. Too many people joining. Hand sanitizer smells good. I am not okay. I'm never getting by. Losing once again. Sleeping late at night. How you doing, J-Man? How you doing today? Good? My right knee hurts. Welcome. How was your day, J-Man? Thank you. Me too. I slept a lot too. I slept a lot like a baby. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, everyone. Yeah, I'm on my computer. See what's going on. I'm reading the chat. Damn, she can drink. You okay, Alexa? That necessary? Wow. No, you're thirsty, but you don't have to be doing that much. I've never seen that. I never seen that show, Sabrina. I never seen it. I don't really watch that much TV. Thank you everyone for hitting that like and subscribe button. It's appreciated. Hey Sean B. Yeah, let's get me a 2K. Yeah, I can't pin that right now, Sean B. My laptop's acting funny. But thank you for that though. Yeah, I can do it on my tablet. Technology sometimes. Mm, let's go to my chicky thing here. We go to me. Just chilling here. Thank you guys. We got made a 1.13. Just chilling here. How's everybody? The Yankees. I just finished watching the Yankees game. They won 15-1. Yo, 15-1. They were playing the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City. That's an ass whipping. When a team wins 15-1, that is an ass whipping. Yeah. That's pretty bad. There's still other games going on, but because maybe you didn't get that deep sleep. You can still be tired, but get. Does that make sense? It's like if you eat, but you don't eat enough protein, you still gonna be hungry. Over there. To your bed, Alexa. Try to keep me up all night. Yeah, try. So.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. Really appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys like this content, please click to subscribe. I really appreciate all of your
Yeah,
support.
same.
In this episode, I'm continuing to dive into the Nancy Guthrie mystery. It's been more than 3 months now since she went missing. Some new information, there's this task force that was put together, FBI and local detectives who continue to investigate the case. I know they just
I feel
recently
bad
had
for
a
her
meeting.
family.
I'm going to get into what I learned about that. Also, kind of some, not drama, but the HOA where Nancy Guthrie lives is not happy that people continue to go by the house, which I'll talk about in this episode. And also in California, you guys may have heard about this, there was this elderly couple, it was a murder-suicide, and it seems it could all be connected back to an online scam. And I have questions about whether those scams, something like that, could that possibly be somehow connected to the Nancy Guthrie case? Could a scam somehow be involved? Could someone have been trying to scam her? I'm going to talk to retired
Yeah,
FBI
be
agent
careful,
Maureen
guys.
O'Connell, my friend.
Try not to
about
get
all of
scammed.
this in
Be
this episode
careful,
of
guys.
Investigates. Maureen, thank you so much for joining me. It's nice to see you again. I hope everything
You're
is
welcome.
going well with you. You look very nice.
You do too. It's good to see you. I see you got your hair cut. Looking
I
good.
did. Yeah, I was telling you, it was getting a little poofy on the side, so
Yeah.
I had to kind of tame it down a little bit.
You had to clean it up a little.
I did, yeah. There's a couple of new things I wanted to talk to you about, though, and get your take on. First of all, one of my sources close to the investigation I was talking to, and I was told that, there's this task force made up of the FBI and some of the detectives from the Pima County Sheriff's Office that just worked the Nancy Guthrie case full time. And they had a meeting last week, which I guess there was a lot of buzz about what this meeting was going to be about. And it wasn't really that significant. It was just a check-in meeting. And I was told, which I wanted to see what your take was on, that it was really to make sure everybody was okay. What do you think that, meaning? Is it just?
I think she's dead.
Could that just be been 3 months? Just want to, keep the energy high? What do you think that means?
Well, when you're on a task force, you're always doing those kinds of meetings. And initially, they were probably every day, and then they went down to 3 times a week, and then they went down to 1 day a week, etc. But you have to get together and you have to get focused because some of the things that the FBI agents are doing are obviously tied into what the Pima County Sheriff guys are doing. I spent many years on task forces, so I understand how they work very well. It was my favorite assignment. I just loved being on a task force. But it's like, are you okay? Meaning, do you need anything else? Do you need any support? Do you need anything to further the investigation of whatever vein you're in right now or whatever road you're on? So, like if we were doing a wiretap, we would have some people would be in charge. Like DEA would say, "Oh, we're going to be funding the wire, and we'll do it at our wire room." And then we'll have FBI agents doing the surveillance for that. And then we'll have analysts, maybe even from another department, working on other aspects of that. And, it just goes on and on. So you can do things, you can work together and you can do things. but you have to check in all the time. You also have to say, hey, guys, while the analysts were looking at A, B, C, and D, we discovered that this person here that we thought may have been on the back burner, a couple of weird things happened. What ideas do you guys have that we should be working on, or is there some aspect of this that you guys would like to handle from this point forward until we meet again, so to speak? So there's all kinds of interactivity.
Yep, I agree with you,
and
Sean
you
B.
try to make it an inoperable, or you try to make it a situation where there's interoperability with regard to the communications. And you do want to check in with each other. Hey, are you guys cool? Do you have everything you need? I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be more the case. Unless, of course, the morale is so low that,
It's not
you
the
know,
neighbors,
these guys
it's
are
the
having a hard
HOA. I
time,
don't.
which could definitely be the case, because this
I
case
would
is
never
brutal,
live. I
man.
would
This
never move
case is
to a
like
place that has a
Atlas with the
HOA.
world on his shoulders, and all these guys are doing everything they can. And I don't know that I've ever seen a case where there appears to be less forward movement, but I would say that that's probably not the case. I would say that there probably is movement,
Because a lot
but
of
they're
those
building a
HOAs
case
are
against,
sketchy.
one or more individuals.
What is it like to be under that kind of pressure? Like, I'm just thinking about these FBI agents, the detectives. Everybody's talking about this case. More time has gone by. I mean, that's a lot.
And it's everywhere. It's omnipresent.
It's probably the
It's when you go
HOA
home, everyone's
president.
asking. People know you're probably working on this case. What the Pima County Sheriff deputies are going through right now is nothing short of insane. And they're doing the best job they can, but it's really, really difficult. And I said earlier that when it rains, it pours, and that's almost always the case. Like, going back to the only case I've ever done that was like that giant was, I'm thinking of 9/11, where we didn't have a day off for something like 120 days, most of us. We worked straight through and we didn't complain. We tried not to, but our families were suffering. I mean, I was coming out of church one time, and someone walked up, and I'm holding my little boy's hand, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you are okay, because the first thing I thought of was both you and your husband getting blown up, because LA was a thing right in front of my little boy." I mean, so it's everywhere, and it's bullshit. It pisses me off. People they think, oh, you're in law enforcement. You can take anything at any time from anyone in
No,
front of anyone else.
that's not how it works.
We're humans too. So these people are, and it's a small group of people over there that are probably going to have it's just a stressful time. And when you're that stressed out, it affects your family, it affects other things. And it just
Well,
seems to
well
have
said,
cascading
done,
effects,
Sean B.
and one thing compounds the other. So it's just very hard. And I wish them well, and I know they're doing the best job they can. And, I honestly haven't, I hope I'm absolutely wrong, but
What are you doing,
I
Alexa?
it seems like nothing went right. I was so excited when they
Yo.
first went to that house that night, when you were on your way over to that guy's house, and
Yeah.
then they found the car in the bar. I was like,
Yeah, a lot
oh,
of people
great,
that
it's all
are
coming together.
careless, Sean B.
And since then, it's been like crickets,
Mm.
So I hope it's not like crickets. I hope they have things, they're developing things, they're working through things, they're waiting on all kinds of stuff. That's what I hope for.
Me too.
That is gross.
It's been almost 3.5 months. Do you ever need like to take someone off and bring a new person in when you're on a task force like this, almost like new blood, new energy, a fresh set of eyes, or is it still too soon for that at the 3.5 month mark?
Well, I'm sure plenty of people have had eyes on this investigation, but there are also times where people get cycled off for reasons totally different. There could be a guy in there that's in the military that's going off for a deployment, or to an additional school for 3 or 4 months. They're going to put somebody else in his place. There may be an FBI agent that's getting transferred to Washington, and he had his papers in long before Nancy went missing. He's going to get cycled off and someone else put in. So there's this general attrition that happens in law enforcement for all kinds of different reasons. Sometimes it's because, in municipal law enforcement, you have the day shift, the night shift, the swing shift, however many shifts you guys have, and what you do these 4 month cycles or whatever the department has, and now it's time for this guy to go to the graveyard shift. So there's just this natural attrition. There are going to be new people coming in, going out, and not like to a great extent. I'm not talking like 40% of the people are leaving, et cetera, but you will have people leaving, you will have people coming back. And I think that's enough for new eyes coming in and out, because everyone that comes in has to get brought up to speed and has to read all their documents and all the reports that have been provided to them.
The sheriff said that he is no longer communicating directly with the Guthrie family, with Savannah Guthrie. And in the beginning, he sort of alluded to the fact that he was, and he says now he isn't, and that they're just talking to the FBI. What do you think that means?
Well, it sounds like the family got a little frustrated with getting information that didn't comport well with everything else they were hearing. And so if you're dealing with two entities, sometimes one's a better fit than the other one, and perhaps they think the other one, perhaps they think the FBI is a better fit than dealing with the actual sheriff. There's got to be someone from the sheriff's department, and there's all kinds of qualified people that are really good at talking to people. Law enforcement officers are generally very good at talking to people, especially if you're like a detective, or, well, not especially. They're just generally good at talking to people, because you have to talk to all kinds of people from all kinds of places, at many times a day, and you just get used to it.
How do you do that when you don't have answers yet, and the family's getting frustrated? Like for you, when you were, doing the job.
I feel bad for Amanda's family.
I don't know. Do they ever get mad? Like, how do you sort of navigate that?
Yeah, people lose their minds. People get really angry. People lash out. These are things that you're taught to expect and not take personally. And you just try to remain calm and try to maybe reel them in a little bit. Or sometimes it's just time and space is a better option. You just weigh these things out. If you're having a really difficult time, you can pass the baton on to someone else if you think it's going to be better. And that may be what happened here. Maybe, the family or someone requested that someone else handle it. And perhaps one of the victim services persons from the FBI, they're very skilled and very kind and just really nice people to talk to. Perhaps one of them stepped in and did such a good job that they decided to keep it going down that particular road.
Or maybe the Guthries were frustrated with the sheriff. I mean, all of his interviews and just, there's been a lot of eyeballs on him. And obviously we know what's going on in Pima County where they're trying to throw him out. Maybe they just thought like, this isn't who we want to be talking to.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And their lawyers or their, Savannah's got from what I hear, she's got a really great security team. And, those guys could have been saying, Savannah, just let's not even talk to this guy. Let's talk to someone else. And we can, you can make that happen. And this is how you do it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
There were a couple of days where I don't know if you saw this, but like it made kind of like headlines, or it was a lot of tweets about it when she was on the Today Show, and then she would like kind of disappear for the end of the show or for the last half an hour of the show. And people are always like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Is it something with the case? But you brought up her security team. I'm sure she's still living in some level of fear, right? I mean,
I would.
Not knowing who did this and if could possibly be, she's got little kids. I mean, that's got to be rough.
It's got to be awful.
That would be a
and
miracle,
this was
but I don't think
an
that's
unbelievably traumatic experience.
A lot of miracles don't really happen.
And she's experiencing untold grief. And the way that happens, the way that works, the way that manifests itself is it's a wave that just overtakes you when you least expect it. So it's totally normal for her to be responding that way. And it's probably a situation where she either gets up and leaves or takes off for the last 20 minutes, or she sits there like a puddle on national television, which is not what she wants to do. She's probably trying to be strong for her children and her husband and family and siblings, and it's just too much.
I interviewed John Ramsey, obviously, his case from 1996 with John Bonet, and it was interesting because he, knows what it's like to be under the media spotlight, knows what
Yeah, I
it's
have
like
a
when a lot of
feeling I
people
have
think
that
you're
too.
involved and you didn't do anything wrong. But one thing he said, I said, well, what's your advice for the Guthrie family be? And the first thing he said was that they need to scrutinize the police. He compared it to like when you're in the hospital and you can't just lay there and not like sort of fight for yourself and be an advocate for yourself and push them
He was
along and make sure the
84.
nurse is doing the right thing. He said it's the same thing with law enforcement. I was wondering what you thought about that.
I don't agree with that in many instances and for a number of different reasons. In his particular case, I do agree with it because they hadn't had a homicide before. And so it's a different ball of wax altogether. If you're dealing with LAPD or LA County
Oh, she
Sheriffs
was
or
on
Chicago
today.
PD or New York or Miami or any big city where they have a ton of homicides, no, I don't think you need to worry about that. And his issue, in my opinion, with regard to them focusing on him or someone in the family was the amount requested in that quote unquote ransom note was the exact amount of money that he got for his end of the year bonus, which is bizarre because it was something like, you know, an odd number, like $70,000 or something ridiculous. So that was beyond strange and something that you just can't look away from. It's one of those things that once you see that, it's hard to unsee it.
But do you think if you're the Guthries, do you need to apply some kind of pressure or do you just sit back and expect people to be doing their jobs?
It's normal, it's natural
They're
for
supposed to be
families
doing
in
their jobs.
situations like this to push for more, push for answers. That's just normal human behavior. So people do that, and we don't have a problem with them doing that at all. It's fine. I mean, it's what one would expect in a situation like this, and it's totally understandable.
What is it like when you're on the other side of that? Like when you're working the case? I guess, like you said, you just sort of expect it, or
I was talking to some homicide guys yesterday, and we were all talking, and the topic was when it rains, it falls. It seems like in situations like that,
Got one more
you
meds.
always have like two things going on in like your whole world is falling apart, and all of a sudden the wheels are falling off your bus. It's just like so. In
Yep, I
in a
agree.
situation like that, it might be better just to say, "Hey, I'm just gonna take a break here. I'm gonna take a powder, and can someone else handle this for me?" But oftentimes, people really like to stay the course, and they like to be there for these people because when you spend decades in law enforcement, essentially you're spending decades as a victim's advocate, and that's what these victims
Matthew,
deserve,
go find help.
and we know that, and it's part of the oath we took. So we take it very seriously. We want to do everything we can for these people, for their families, most importantly for the victim, and so we're willing to, you know, I'm we're willing to take it on the chin, so to speak. I just, sometimes it's over the top, but
you mean if people push too hard or they're too outspoken, calling out the cops, that kind of thing?
yeah, or just being really unnecessarily cruel and stuff. But they're suffering through their own
That's why they
grief,
get blocked.
so people are gonna lash out. That's human behavior,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. There was this story I wanted to ask you about. There was an elderly woman who, along with her husband, who were found dead inside their California home. I wanted to ask you about this, a suspected murder-suicide. But then it came out as friends started talking that the woman was defrauded by a scammer claiming to be actor Tom Selleck. Basically began communicating with her through the internet. I think they met through like a comment section on social media, and then slowly started trying to get money from her. And next thing, one thing led to another, and it turned into a full-on scam. It got me thinking about the Nancy Guthrie case, though, and just could it have been something like that?
Anything is
Could
possible.
something like that be at play here?
Well, I think in large part that senior citizens that get taken advantage of, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's not really something where you have to raise your risk level to the point that you're dressing up in a baklava and two pair of gloves and like, approaching a porch at 1:47 a.m. I don't know that it would generally need to get to that point. I did read that story that you're talking about, and it was so sad to me. And I'll tell you that in the FBI, as FBI agents and professional support personnel, we have to answer the phones. We have to take turns. So every couple months, or depending on the size of your office, you're going to have to sit there for an entire shift and answer the phone and questions from the public. And so many of those calls come from these elders who are just being, they've just had everything taken from them, and it's gone, and there's no way to get it back. And they talk about the process, and you're just sitting there like, please, God, no, no.
Yep.
But this is the nature of predatory behavior. Predators go after the most vulnerable. And if they sense that you're forgetful, or if this particular woman said, my kids took which happened, the kids took away her credit cards, took away all of her checks, and they thought that they handled the situation. But apparently, the woman still found ways to give this person who she thought was Tom Selleck money. And I don't know what the impetus was for the murder-suicide. We don't know at this point, as far as I've heard, who killed who first. My guess is it was
the husband.
Well, it doesn't matter what my guess is, but these are tragic situations, and it just goes to show you that these perpetrators and predators are everywhere, and they're always going for our most vulnerable victims. And it really pisses me off.
Yeah, me too. And it's becoming more common. Like I know, friends whose parents have been really smart people too, by the way, like have good jobs, had good jobs, not in dementia.
I'm with you.
And I hear these stories and it's like, wait, what? Like they met the person and brought them a bag of cash, like, and then they're so embarrassed after, and I can't believe I did this, and I don't understand like how this is happening.
It's been going on forever, and it used to be done a little bit differently. Now it's so much easier to remain anonymous pretty much and just be on the phone and do whatever you want. And all those calls about, I've got your grandson here, he's under arrest and blah, blah, blah. Two of my friends for many years, they called me. I think I was on with you one time, and they're just saying, call me, please call me now, whatever. It turns out, and these guys are totally with it. And they had some young man screaming in the background, and they were convinced it was their son. And they both obviously know their son very well. They're very close to him, and gave him their home address. I mean, it was insane, because you just get caught up in the emotions initially when you're a parent and something supposedly is happening to one of your children. Your gut tells you just jump in and handle it. And then there was a case when I was, my very first trial was with a guy who worked at a bank. So this was, he worked at a bank, and he had people notify the bank that their spouse had died, elderly couples. So this is all he targeted, elderly couples. If you called into this bank and said that your spouse had passed away, he would then go in quickly and change your address of record and your signature card to reflect a P.O. box that he had opened and all this other stuff. He cleaned out dozens of these old widows and widowers of everything they had, to the point where they had to leave. If they were in assisted living, they had to move out because they couldn't afford it. They had absolutely nothing left. It was awful. I hammered that guy. I was merciless on that guy. The judge actually said, you're like a pit bull. I mean, I was like a pit bull, and I was not letting go. If there's one thing I can't stand predators, as everybody knows. But when you're going against old people that just lost their spouse of 60 years or something, it's hammer time for sure.
That's fucked
Well,
up.
that's like with this Tom Selleck thing, it's like you target an older woman who's probably somewhat lonely. My family, we actually have a family friend, a woman, the husband died, they're older, she's alone, and she gets on the internet, and suddenly it's like she's talking to these men from other countries, and it's like clear that she's lonely and you don't want to say, like, I mean, it's a complicated situation because she wants companionship, but it's like, that they're going to try to take advantage of her,
Right.
It's
I've had people that were talking to who they thought were special forces soldiers overseas, and it turns out to be some 400-pound female with cankers all over her face who's sitting in Alabama in a hut with 4
Yeah.
kids. I mean, you just come on. I mean, it's sad. But you know what? I mean, we're getting pushed onto the internet 24/7. It's the first thing we grab when we wake up in the morning. It's the last thing we look at before we go to bed most times. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to navigate for elderly
That's
people.
why we got to be
For
careful.
anyone really. It's very, very difficult and it's very challenging. And at least when you have your spouse or your kids, they can be like, "Mom, stop," or "You can't do this," or "I'm gonna," but it's the way of the world right now, and it's a very dangerous landscape for everyone.
Do you think that
Very dangerous.
this could have anything to do with the Nancy Guthrie case, this sort of thing?
Anything's possible.
I would say not.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
I tend to agree because I was thinking, there would be some kind of digital evidence, right? I mean, they would have found messages. They would have found, why is she talking to this person all the time on the phone, right? I mean, by this point.
Yeah, the digital exhaust would have definitely led them someplace.
Yeah. Similar topic, these wrench attacks, which I did a podcast on yesterday, which are also California. There's a lot of them happening in California where they will break into your house, tie you up or whatever, and then make you unlock your bank accounts to get access to your funds, whether it's crypto or just your regular bank accounts, use your face, whatever they have to do. There was an expert who spoke to Fox Digital thinking that maybe that could have been related to Nancy Guthrie, that there was a mastermind behind the scenes. The motive may have been getting into Nancy's bank accounts. What do you think of that?
I think they would have had someone in handcuffs if that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like kind of similar to the other one. There would have been some kind of trail there that they would have, or by 3 months later, they would have been able to find it.
I'd be pretty surprised if Nancy had Bitcoin first and foremost.
Yeah.
And is it true, Brian, that she did have seconds taken out on her house? Have you been able to verify that?
No, I haven't seen that. No, I did hear she was going to sell it several years ago, and then didn't. But I don't know about.
Because I was going to say, if she had seconds out on her house, she doesn't have a boatload of cash sitting in any particular account, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because of her age and the generation, it's like more of a blue collar mindset where you don't take money, you don't take a second out on your house unless you don't have something else that could cover that cost for you.
Yeah.
Well,
I would imagine as close as she is to Savannah, if she got to that kind of a situation, you know what I mean? Savannah has a lot of money. I don't get the sense that Savannah would just leave her high and dry. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I totally agree with that.
And I never heard of any, just even talking to the people in the neighborhood, I never heard of any financial issues. She had just gotten a new roof pretty recently. Her house is in good shape. She's got the pool guy. You know what I mean? Like there weren't any signs of, sometimes you can see things to look a little run down or maybe, it was kind of like the opposite. The yard is really nice. So I don't.
Oh my gosh, that yard was gorgeous. That garden was so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of wonder now what they're going to do because, the HOA there has sent out several notices. Like they're, starting to get frustrated with people still coming to the house. They're asking people not to leave flowers anymore. I wonder, if you're the Guthrie family, it's probably hard to sell it. I don't know. What do you do in that situation? I mean,
I would keep it. I'd keep the house for a while. Who cares what the HOA people say?
Yeah.
Get over yourself. If people want to come and if I were her children, I would not sell that house right away. I wouldn't do anything for at least a year, because that's like, what people recommend. But I just, it's, uh, I think under any circumstance, it's nice to go into your parents' house, even when something like this may have happened, just to be there and be like in her presence, because they miss her so much. I don't know. All I know is,
It's fucked up.
actually, I don't know anything about it, having never had a family member ripped out of their bed like this, and it still is just so deeply upsetting to me. But I'm
It
not
is
worried at
upsetting.
all about people leaving flowers. And look at what it took with OJ. How long that they had to tear down that whole house, and then they sold every brick. People are not going to stop coming to that house. They're not going to stop going to that house because it's an iconic location right now, and that's just the fact of the matter as we stand today.
Is there any law enforcement reason for them not to sell it? I mean, do you think police would be advising them to, would they still possibly need it for anything?
Well, they turned it back over to the family, and once you do that, all bets are off.
Yeah,
So they must not think there's anything else there except for the mat.
the mat, yeah. That mat that you would have taken right away.
Yeah.
The infamous mat out front.
If I lived close enough, I might even take it now. No, I wouldn't. I would not trespass.
Yeah, no, I know you wouldn't. Yeah, and they actually I saw, there's a lot of like streamers and bloggers and stuff that go out there all the time. There's like chains across the driveway. They put more no trespassing signs. So it's kind of, I don't know, turned into, I mean, I kind of get it. Like the neighbors that I talk to don't really mind it. They just care about Nancy. Like, honestly, the people I talk to, they're like, we just want Nancy to come back, like them to find Nancy. We don't mind if people are around. But I can also see how other neighbors are probably like, God, there's all these strangers in our neighborhood. And, I can see both sides.
Yeah, the changes. Imagine the changes in that neighborhood went from nobody being around after dark until all this craziness.
Yeah.
But you only talk to the nice people. That's why, Brian.
No, I talk to some of the not nice ones. I just don't, I don't talk about it as much. No, there were a few out there that were not nice. And this
Yeah,
one
that's true.
person had a golden retriever and wouldn't even let me pet their dog when they walked by. So there were some, I mean, again, I get it though. It's their neighborhood. Like I can see both sides of it. Really appreciate Maureen for taking the time to talk with me. It's always great to catch up with her. And I really appreciate you guys for watching my channel, for supporting all my content, and for keeping up with the Nancy Guthrie case. I know a lot of people have moved on. There's other stories. A lot of other reporters have moved on, but trying to stay on top of it. I check in with my sources all the time. I'm sure at some point soon I'll head out to Arizona again. And if anybody has any information, if you know anything, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's the number. Obviously, still a very, very active investigation. And the hope is that finally there will be some answers, some resolution to this entire thing. So I'll stay on it, and I'll talk to you guys later.
That's crazy.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show.
Turn this fucking hot in here. I'm still here, guys. All right, bye everyone. Thank you, Sean B. Thank you, everyone that's been here. I'm gonna get ready to go. I'll be back later or tomorrow. Take care, son.